Right, click the links, join the channel here, become a member over at Subscribestar, now over at Odyssey. Thanks to these 16 new members over there. That Odyssey is growing. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's see what the Mary Sue has to say about this SNL comedian. Every time you look at SNL, you if you watch it for some reason, you go, how is this show on in the air? Was it NBC? Are they subsidizing it? Yeah, plot twist, they probably are subsidizing it for their political purposes. Or maybe the DNC is subsidizing it. So bigots, oh, yikes, my guy, bad take, istophobe. The left wing just needs to label people because they can't actually engage with ideas, so they have to censor people. Imagine having a discussion with a bigot. It's like, but there you go, you're just pre-labeling somebody to prejudge somebody. Don't you want to know what the opposition thinks? They might not be the opposition. Don't you believe in diversity of thought? And no, they absolutely. Honestly, watching the subversion of the left in the past 30 years has been friggin' fantastic. So, policing comedy from the cat ladies, globalists, and panty-sniffing soy boys who pay for sex over at the Mary Sue. I think there's two guys who write for the Mary Sue. Other than that, it's like about a dozen of just the worst women on earth. I don't think there's a single good-looking person at the Mary Sue, which I know people, that's not relevant. It might be. I think actually it might be. So the left wing really can't allow comedy at all because it's able to actually speak truth to power. Not just the left wing says those words, and then you go, oh, let's discuss these hot topic issues, and suddenly they're like, no. When we say speaking to power, we mean going after the right wing or white people or Republicans or Christians but what about all these other issues? And suddenly they lose their freaking minds. The thing is, a comedian is supposed to be the court jester to be a pressure release valve on the kingdom to let the king know that things need to be addressed, or to throw a grenade in the room and just make fun of everybody to bring these issues up and kind of take the wind out of them a little bit so people can examine them and then figure out where as a society you need to go with these issues. And the comedy has not done that in a long time. And years ago I said, because of the Trump effect and Trump derangement syndrome, that stand-up was going to be over. And actually, as it turned out, all of comedy was going to be over. And the more I look at Hollywood, I think it seems like all of Hollywood is also, or all of the American version of Hollywood, the international Hollywood might survive, the entertainment industry. The thing is, the left wing has bad ideas that cannot stand on their own. So they have to use cultural Bolshevism to censor any oppression. And the Mary Sue soy people absolutely are terrified of free speech. And in their world, there would be no comedy. Because if everyone does bad things and they need to be made fun of to take a little air out of them, put a pin in them, that includes the left-wing special protected classes, which the classes exist in their mind because they're just going from this Alinsky Frankfurt School checklist. It's not reality. You go, that's entirely subjective. In our mind, we have different classes. And they go, well, naturally, because you're istophobes. Again, you're just subjectively labeling people, which is, their protected classes are everyone on Earth except for people of Western Europe, pretty much, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed types. So there is no comedy because there can't be comedy when, well, one, the tiny minority of Europeans and Christians is the only allowable punchline. What was that, 2016 when the comedians were doing all this anti-Trump stuff? And it's how many years later? And they just still keep going on with it. And you're looking at your watch and like, surely this is going to run out of steam. Don't call me Shirley. Imagine making Airplane. I think they did an interview with that guy, and they joked about it. And they're like, yeah, there's like nothing you could do in Airplane that would be allowed today. Comedy needs some surprises. In Blazing Saddle, they put I don't know, it's on Netflix or something, one of those kind of networks. I imagine paying for a subscription service. Why would you pay the lizard people? But some lady comes out and does a little preamble about, what's his name, Mel Brooks, how istophobic Mel Brooks was for making a comedy in the 70s, the 80s. It was just a pretty mild comedy. It was, just wasn't that big deal. Like, they didn't say anything offensive. No, you don't understand. You're right, because it doesn't exist. It was just a comedy. The thing is, you can't have comedy that just goes after blonde Republicans. The Karen joke. It's like, oh, that's so funny. Let's open it up to. And this is where if I had free speech on YouTube, I'd insert some other ethnically identifying names. But that's probably a bridge too far on YouTube, so I'm going to censor that. You have to go after other groups. We have to normalize making fun of privileged groups. And the Asians are mentioned here. I guess he mocked it, Chinese people. It's like, well, I think they're the world's majority, so, that's okay. In your Frankfurt School hierarchy, you can go after Chinese. And they go, no, because okay, we don't have a logical reason, but we just hate Europeans so damn much. Yeah, we know. Thing is, they don't care about Asians. Remember when that the Stop Asian Hate? Oh, I gotta be careful here. When that hashtag was going around a couple years ago, and then people took a closer look at it, and it just disappeared. It just don't say anything in the comments, but it just was in and out. It was like times up, hashtag times up, and me too. And that was in and out very quickly, because it was all, we got Weinstein, and everyone in Hollywood everyone in Hollywood's a left winger, and they're a DNC donor, and their picture with the Clintons and all these other left wingers, like, we got, was that guy, the Franks guy, what's his name in Congress? We got him too. We're gonna have to drop this. This is like all left wingers, and you look at who do you think is in Hollywood? Do you think they're conservative Christian Republicans in Hollywood? You're doing hashtag me too. You're going to get people who are very publicly DNC supporters. So they stopped it. Oh, don't you want to protect women? No, you can't. We don't give a shit about women. We want to protect the DNC. Anyway, you're going to have to go after the privileged groups, and the Asians are just tools to them. And I was going to mention the privileged groups, but I guess I better not trigger the algorithm. YouTube is so lame these days. Odyssey is. I hope Odyssey sticks around because I am friggin' loving that. So to a liberal, the idea, and I'm loving the 16 new subs. I'll just be honest about that. Thanks to Truth Forge for the latest one. So to a liberal, the idea is inconceivable because they have this global concept of marginalized and oppressed. Like, I don't believe in your concept. Oh, Nazi says what? Yeah, you're just making this up. It's all imagination land. You're just using that so you can hate European people. Well, yes, we do hate them, and we want to find a way to justify it. It's not justified because we're awesome. We're the solution. We're never the problem. So they have to censor, which means that the marginalized and oppressed are the Christians and blonde-haired or maybe red-haired, blue-eyed, green-eyed Europeans by definition. They are the oppressed. We are the oppressed. And the globalists are the parasitical oppressors. So the liberals have this inverted worldview where everything bad is blonde people and pox, walks, furry otherkin from Jupiter are the good people, and obviously that's not true. The blonde people are not the problem. They're the solution. They make everything better. But we live in this globalist inverse world where the media is presenting this false reality, and it doesn't make sense because people look around at the real world and go like, yeah, you're not reflecting the real world. It's like this satanic, sinister inversion. It's like the mirror image, but it's this Luciferian twist on the world. So we have this, which, like, what do you think the media programming is? That's why they call it programming. We have this issue with the bullshit media vermin pushing degeneracy and filth. And if you ask a liberal if a comedian should be free to make fun of everybody, they will flat out say no. In their minds, they put Europeans up as gods and everyone else as Untermensch. So the comedian can only punch up at the gods, which are in their mind, the blonde, blue-eyed people, which is, it's actually kind of interesting because it's been in mythology and anthropology for a long time with these tall, red-haired and blonde-haired people. They thought they were the first ones who came to the New World, where even the Indians there were saying that, oh, no, and people think like, oh, you're probably talking about the Vikings. It's kind of weird. They were hopping on boats exploring the New World. Anyway, that Robert Seffer guy is a very interesting character, which is why the left wing isn't funny at all, because people are just people. They all need to be made fun of, and no, even your Ubermensch, the blonde people and the Christians and the whatever's like, yeah, but you're already making fun of Christians. Are the one group you can make fun of, especially and Western Europeans. It's like that's every comedian's bread and butter is Trump and Orange County and white people. Am I right? And the Karens. It's like. But that's that's not the problem in the world, and everyone kind of knows it. So it's just this echo chamber confirmation bias for these people. You got to open that up to making fun of all these other groups, which the censorship on Google Tube is so strong that it's not even worth saying it. So with all these rules for the left, they end up with Saturday Night Live type of shows where they can't make fun of dementia-ridden Biden or Schumer. I was going to say something else, or the prostitute known as your vice president, Kamala, what's her face, who, like, you would think Biden would be ripe for comedy, being the source of comedy. He's shuffling it around. He doesn't know where he is. He's mumbling. You can't understand a word he's saying. Or, you put knee pads on Biden or something, or on Kamala. It would be a lot of fun. He'd probably put a diaper on Biden, eating ice cream, and I like chocolate chip. Or, you could have his puppet master handlers like have strings to him and actually manipulate him like a puppet. But no, 4 years later, they're still making fun of that fat blonde guy who was in office for 4 years ago. It's like, that doesn't make sense. When you look at SNL, it's like you're just subsidized by NBC. What was that guy's name? The worst mistake they made was getting rid of Norm Macdonald. He was definitely the best part of SNL. But then they brought him back to host, I think a couple times, and he just nuked him from orbit when he went on. He was the funniest thing there. So they're making fun of Trump 4 years later. It's not funny, but the left doesn't do comedy anymore. They do this echo chamber confirmation bias where they clap. It's a conscious decision to put your hands together. They don't spontaneously laugh. The left needs to control your thoughts, so they move to censor words. So you end up self-censoring out of fear, or otherwise CNN will dox you and get you fired and try to destroy your life if you go against the narrative. They try to make things so PC that you wouldn't dream of breaking out of the matrix, except I will say the whitest of white pills is alt media, especially alt media, but also alt financing and fundraising to fund the alt community, because we're able to over there to move the window as fast and as far as possible, where we can recognize things for what they are and put a different perspective on things that are just not allowed on YouTube or even Rumble. That's what Odyssey and BitChute and Gab TV and a bunch of other platforms are really good for. So the liberals don't want you to hear things and decide for yourself. They want to decide for you and pressure you to prejudge things. Their narrative is that only istophobes want free speech. Only the Hugo Boss people want free speech. And you look at them and you're like, you're just insane. Nothing you say makes sense. But when you start breaking down what they mean and what their reasoning is, it all falls apart because they're the problem the whole time. We are awesome. We're not the problem in any situation. We don't need censorship because we have better ideas. We want that open marketplace of ideas. We know that if the right wing has free speech, we win. We win on most issues. It's just that simple. That's why if you look at the mainstream media, there is no right-wing representation. There's no mainstream Christian representation or no European People's Caucus representation. It's all a globalist, left-wing, tightly controlled narrative controlled by like a half a dozen companies. There is no right-wing in the mainstream. But, like you push down on a rug, it's going to pop up somewhere else. The censorship became so egregious that somebody created BitChute and Odyssey and all these other platforms. Gab was a big one too, and Telegram, where people can start pushing these alternative ideas. Where we don't need, like, the left wing really believes that they know what's better for people. And you look at the people who say these ideas and they're just idiots, but they're college educated and they've got, like, you understand, I've got a bachelor's in, like, something stupid, some basket weaving type of liberal arts thing, and I've got a master's of fine arts, so I'm like educated or something. It's like that meme about, there's a video, I don't know who did the video, it's really funny, where they had a group of 6 people and they had to guess their education, and the one girl had a PhD in something. She goes, I'm like a PhD candidate, so I'm probably the smartest one. And the guy that she thought was the dumbest guy was in the Navy or something. I don't think he had a degree. And he turned out to have the highest IQ, and the girl with the PhD in chemistry turned out to have the lowest IQ. And that's the dream world they live in more often than not, of where there's just this false university foundation that they think is real. It's like, no, it's not as real as you think it is. Like getting the equivalent degree in the Navy would actually be better because there'd be more it'd be a tougher environment. Anyway, so the the Mary Sue dumb twats want SNL and all of the mainstream media to be toxic alt left propaganda. And I think it was either Rachel Leishman or Glassman or something. One of the useful idiots of the Mary Sue was a long time ago was saying they don't want South Park on the air because they present two sides of every issue. And in the Mary Sue's mind, there are no two sides to an issue. And reasonable people look at that, nice Scotsman there, and you go, that's insane. There's always two sides to an issue. And in their minds, there really aren't two sides because they were taught what to think and they were never taught how to think. So no, we don't need censorship. We don't need mainstream media to be toxic alt left propaganda. We need balance. And they're so brainwashed that idea of balance terrifies them. It's like, that's cult behavior. That you're an insane cult of Bolshevism. If you're so afraid of your opponent's argument that you want to pre-censor it, and you want to decide for other people what ideas adults may entertain. And the people who are doing this are the 30-year-old obese cat ladies at the Mary Sue who are single. Like they don't. I say single because like when you have kids and you're married and you're in charge of a family and you have that responsibility of running the family correctly. It's like that is a degree of responsibility that a chubby 30-year-old cat lady at the Mary Sue doesn't have. It's just a different worldview. And that's why the left doesn't want women to get married and have kids and form those stable family structures, because they move to the right politically because they have something to protect. It's only the single people that don't have a stake in the future. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to 16 subscribers over at Odyssey. You guys are making me think about what this channel could be. It's like, you've got 16 subscribers, buddy. Dial it down. Dial it back. I know, but it is interesting to think, like, well, what could you do with like 50 subscribers? And that's a ways away, but it's just kind of something to think about on the horizon. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.